Ween's Review has made many films recently featuring the Deadpool star, and the most prominent one is the movie The Killer's Game, 2024. This time, I will be reviewing the latest movie of the Deadpool star in 2025. This time, he has completely changed his image, from the usually seen muscular and brawny guy to become an agent, tasked with purging the drug traffickers. But who would have thought that his own son, along with the children of other agents, would run off to commit acts of robbery? What exactly is going on? Without further ado, here is where the story begins. The man driving the car is named Hugh. He is an anti-drug agent. To raid a drug trafficker's lair, he and his colleagues deliberately wore Hawaiian shirts and parked their car at a gas station. Hugh went to find the attendant to get gas for the car. The other person said that they were out of gas and told him to look elsewhere. But Hugh loudly insisted that he needed to use the restroom. He insisted that at all costs, he had to go inside the gas station to take care of it. Unexpectedly, the opponent immediately pulled out a gun and threatened him to leave immediately if he wanted to live, without realizing that a gun barrel was pointed at him. After Hugh and his colleague cooperated to deal with one man, they immediately gave a signal to the other agents in the car to act immediately. At the same time, Hugh's son Cody was showcasing his driving skills. After playing for a while, he went to find his group of friends. The parents of these children are all agents. Every time their parents went on a mission, they would all gather together and pray sincerely, hoping their parents could return safely. And at this moment, Hugh had finished putting on his gear and put down his weapon. Then an agent threw a grenade inside the house. After a loud explosion, everyone immediately rushed in to eliminate the drug traffickers. The henchmen outside had been dealt with. Based on the intelligence gathered beforehand, they opened the hidden underground entrance in the warehouse. Climbing down the ladder, they discovered that the space below was indeed quite large. It took them a long time to finally encounter the drug traffickers. They quickly pulled the trigger to eliminate the enemy, but just then, one drug trafficker pressed the button to detonate the bomb. Hugh and the others panicked and rushed out. Seeing the shockwave from the explosion about to catch up, they crawled and scrambled to escape by a hair's breadth. After everyone rushed out, they breathed a sigh of relief. Some even joked that the experience was too exhilarating. Unexpectedly, the drug traffickers' reinforcements had arrived in time. The agents were caught off guard by the ambush. However, they quickly adjusted their state and counterattacked. After repelling the enemy, they provided first aid to the agent who was shot, but it was too late to save him. On the other hand, Cody and his friends were in class. Suddenly, the teacher heavily called the student Jesse out. When Jesse got to the office, he saw his mother. The woman was already tear-stained, and informed Jesse that his father had sacrificed his life. A few minutes later, all the children also received the news. They were all so sad that they couldn't speak. That evening, to comfort Jesse, the whole group of children went to the church together. They hugged Jesse and told him to try and lift his spirits. The group stayed very late before returning home, completely unaware that Hugh had been worried sick. Seeing his son return, he asked why he hadn't replied to his messages or answered his calls. Just as Cody was about to explain, he saw blood oozing from his father's neck. Hugh noticed his son's anxiety and hurriedly said that the bullet only grazed the skin. He also emphasized that it was not safe recently, as the drug traffickers might seize the opportunity for revenge. He had talked to the other parents and suggested that all the children should go straight home after school. Cody didn't agree. He felt that Jesse really needed comfort from his friends. Meanwhile, the drug lord, Babe, had gathered everyone and angrily stated that there was an informer among them. This informer had contacted the police, causing one of their operations to be busted. Months of hard work had gone down the drain. Now, apart from the one who killed an agent, the others are all potential suspects. Babe can actually only rely on his gut feeling to guess who the informer is. He was truly annoyed, so he ordered one of his henchmen to kill his own cousin, saying he wanted to see if the henchman was cold-blooded and ruthless enough. The henchman temporarily passed the test, but in fact he was the informer. The next evening, he drove to the outside of a restaurant. After going inside, he pretended to make a phone call and told Hugh, who was dining nearby, that Babe was already suspicious of him. However, the henchman always felt that continuing to be an informer was too risky. Hugh didn't make things difficult for him and asked if there was any news about a new lair. The other person denied it, saying he currently only had one useful clue, which was that Babe had a younger sister named Leah. This person was definitely not simple either, because all information about her was very tightly protected. There was reason to suspect her hands were even dirtier. After speaking, the henchman left. The scene changed to Cody and his friends gathering again after school, mainly because Jesse wanted to announce something, that he was moving house and changing schools. Moreover, they were moving to another country to live with his grandparents, because the subsidy from the police was too little, and his sick mother couldn't earn much money. They were completely unable to continue renting a house here or buy medicine. Everyone who heard these words felt very sorry, and Cody also felt uncomfortable inside. After school, he recounted this story to his father. The other person said that he had also heard about it and would arrange time to visit the mother and son before Jesse left. Cody asked if the police couldn't help this poor mother and son. Clearly during the raid, they had seized a lot of cash, but Hugh replied that it was all public funds, used to continue buying information and pursuing the drug traffickers. He understood that Jesse's family was in difficulty, so he was also trying to call for donations. Everyone would definitely try their best to help. Cody felt extremely helpless and questioned his father back. If you also sacrifice your life and I lose my support, will I have no choice but to barely survive on donations? These words were quite unpleasant to hear, but they were not without reason. In the evening, Hugh drank to drown his sorrows with a colleague, saying that he wasn't a devoted father. He truly felt he owed Cody too much. And the problem that bothered him the most right now was that Cody wanted to follow in his footsteps. This job was truly too dangerous, and Cody's way of doing things was extremely reckless and adventurous. He was adamant that he could not let his son do this job, but upon careful reflection, he felt he was being cruel. The next day, Hugh was helping the trainees practice at the wrestling gym. Someone asked him why he didn't let Cody join. Cody's eyes lit up when he heard this, but Hugh said it wasn't the right time. Today, he just brought him to visit for a bit. On the way home, Hugh noticed his son was constantly sad. He knew clearly that his son wanted to become stronger. Before he could say anything, a colleague suddenly called, saying that they had just busted a new drug lair and were currently busy cleaning up the spoils inside. They called Hugh so he wouldn't worry and could come over if he had time to see if there were any clues. After hanging up, Hugh asked his son if he wanted to come along. Of course, the son quickly agreed. The father and son arrived at the drug lair. Hugh asked his colleague how they found this place. The other person said the story was quite ridiculous. Someone on the road spotted a drug addict sleeping, so they insisted on calling the police. The police followed this addict and discovered the drug lair. After saying that the colleague went to talk to Hugh elsewhere, while Cody's eyes were fixed on the stacks of cash, a bold idea immediately sparked in his mind. After returning with his father, Cody, when no one was looking, secretly took photos of the clues listed on the wall. Afterward, he took his idea to his friends, proposing to rob money from the drug trafficking gang. By then, they would help Jesse buy a house to live in. And of course, tuition fees or medical expenses wouldn't be a concern anymore. His friends were extremely astonished, thinking that Cody must have gone crazy. The other person then said that they didn't need to rob the big lair. They just need to find a less guarded spot to strike. Moreover, everyone has their own specialty. If this were actually carried out, it shouldn't be difficult. The one who is good at driving can drive, the short-haired girl knows martial arts, and her mother has the key to the armory. The others have also inherited special skills from their parents. At this point, the curly-haired girl asked, what if they worked hard on a big job, but in the end couldn't get the cash, and only found bags of powder? Moreover, if they wanted to transfer money to Jesse, they would definitely have to open multiple accounts and deposit a small amount of money into each one to ensure it was below the IRS reporting requirement. Your father used to work in money laundering, right? Cody believed that their team was almost invincible. The short-haired girl still found it too risky. The small black friend, who hadn't been able to interject until now, was extremely excited, saying he was really looking forward to the upcoming action. With no other option, the rest had to join in. Why? Because they were good friends. At the same time, Hugh arranged to meet the informer. This time it wasn't to gather intelligence, but Hugh had already paved the way for the informer to help him escape the drug lair and embrace a new life. But before he could hand over the new identity to the other person, a colleague nearby reported that a car was approaching outside. The scene immediately descended into chaos. Hugh found an opportunity to rush out and counterattack. The drug trafficker was only focused on looking at him. The result was that he crashed into the truck in front and became stuck, unable to move. Out of desperation, he had to get out of the car and flee on foot. The result was that Hugh caught up, pinned him to the ground, and dealt with him mercilessly. Their informant had finally managed to almost enjoy a new life, but was killed just like that. Hugh really wanted to shoot this drug trafficker dead on the spot, but managed to restrain himself in the end. After bringing him back, the other person looked at the bullet graze on his neck and sneered derisively at him. What a big life he had. Hugh knew clearly that this man was the one who murdered the agent, but Hugh couldn't take revenge. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked about Leah. The drug trafficker refused to look him straight in the eye. Hugh's colleague saw this and was not in a hurry, saying that many drug traffickers didn't want to speak up because they were worried about their family's safety. Fearing that the stubborn drug trafficker was not afraid of toughness, Hugh chose a softer approach. He said that he would secretly spread false rumors that the drug trafficker was an informer, making him unable to live peacefully in both the black and white worlds. The other person was indeed scared and honestly confessed that Leah was called by Babe to decipher the true identities of the agents. At that point, the entire families of the agents would also be eliminated, one by one. On the other hand, the short-haired girl successfully stole the key and, with Cody, chose weapons from the armory. While they were busy, Cody suddenly received a call from his father. Hugh said that he needed to work overtime tonight and warned him not to wander off. This was exactly what Cody wanted. After gathering enough necessary weapons, they analyzed and found one of the drug traffickers' lairs. Because they didn't want anyone else to know, they only took silenced weapons. After thorough mental preparation, the small black friend was in charge of keeping watch outside, while the other three, including Cody, fully equipped, prepared for action. Wearing night vision goggles, they cautiously entered the house and located the drug trafficker. Cody hastily attempted a sneak attack, but missed. The startled drug trafficker quickly counterattacked them. Fortunately, the three of them worked together and managed to electrocute him into unconsciousness. Afterward, they hurriedly collected the money. Unexpectedly, another drug trafficker showed up and fired wildly at the group. The small black friend outside heard the gunshots and was terrified, hesitating whether to call the police for help. After all, going to jail was better than losing his life. But fortunately, the short-haired girl had pretty good fighting skills. Along with Cody and the curly-haired girl successfully coordinated to take down the drug trafficker. Afterward, the group safely got into the car and stepped on the gas, fleeing the scene, and immediately heading to their secret base. The curly-haired girl reported their achievement for the night, saying they had stolen a total of $497 USD. Everyone burst out laughing when they heard the amount, not to mention buying a house. This amount was barely enough to buy wallpaper. At the same time, Babe was talking on the phone with her sister about the robbery of a lair. Babe thought there was no need to worry too much, since there wasn't much money inside anyway, but Leah felt that this matter couldn't be easily ignored. They were underestimating these drug traffickers. It was bad enough that the agent had cleaned out the lair at the gas station, so why were even thieves daring to eye them? But the problem was that at the scene, there was a helmet with night vision, which was military equipment. How could ordinary thieves have something like this? Cross-chest NSGU. Era, cross-chest NSU. Crabba Babe thought Cody was dissatisfied because the agent and the informer were killed and deliberately used this method to make things difficult for them. The next day, Hugh arrived at the crime scene and was informed that the two drug traffickers were initially not killed, but were probably punished by Babe for incompetence. Therefore, this case was likely just an ordinary robbery. At the same time, Cody invited a classmate out for a meal. The two talked about their parents. The girl lived with her mother, and the bad father didn't want to take responsibility, so he never showed up. She was very envious of Cody for having an overprotective father. Then the girl asked what Hugh did for a living. Cody replied that he was a construction engineering project manager. After the date, Cody met up with his group of friends. The group video called Jesse to check on his situation and found that his condition was quite bad. Jesse's mother still couldn't find a job, and the place they were staying was too noisy. Therefore, the next robbery couldn't be postponed any longer. But this time, they were smarter and would no longer foolishly rob lairs with no cash. Instead, they would strike where Babe carried out money laundering activities. They investigated and found that the person responsible for the money laundering operation was an old man. After receiving cash from the drug traffickers, he always followed a route that was almost fixed. They could seize the opportunity to steal all the money. If the amount could reach $500,000 USD, they wouldn't need to take action again later. However, this time they were forced to discuss the plan thoroughly before acting. First, they had to emulate their parents and conduct reconnaissance, confirming that 2 bodyguards were accompanying him. The group knew well that this time, they couldn't use the stun gun anymore, because it was only suitable for close combat, but they didn't want to kill anyone. So they chose a shotgun with beanbag rounds. The destructive power was decent but non-lethal. At this point, the curly-haired girl asked a question. Cody also had these leads. Why didn't they arrest that old man? The short-haired girl explained that Cody prioritized letting the line out to catch a bigger fish. So they only gathered intelligence but didn't act. This meant that they not only had to act, but also had to be careful not to be discovered by Cody. The intelligence gathering was almost complete. They removed the tracking device that Cody had installed underneath the old man's car and had finished discussing the action plan. Everything was ready. When the old man stopped the car with the money on a deserted road, Cody's group immediately threw a smoke grenade and pointed their guns to rob him. The result was a malfunction of the beanbag shotgun, and they were almost caught. Fortunately, in the moment of crisis, the group remained calm and quickly counterattacked. They finally managed to take down the bodyguard and steal the car. Stepping on the gas, the car sped away. They hurriedly checked the cash in the car and were amazed to find that it was indeed a large amount. But the bodyguard behind was still clinging on. They didn't want to show their faces, so they wore masks. Then they opened the back door of the car and aimed their guns to attack. The small black friend focused on shooting at the windshield. The opponent's vision was obscured, just like in Fortnite. After cleaning up the mess, Cody drove to the little black friend's grandfather's abandoned warehouse to celebrate. This operation was a great victory. Everyone was excited and held up the cash to celebrate. On the other hand, the old man proactively came to Cody to confess, or rather to report the missing money. He was afraid that Babe would kill him, so he used this tactic to ask for help from the agents, hoping Cody would provide witness protection for him. Hugh asked about the robbers' characteristics. The old man said the group used tear gas. He only knew there were 2 males and 2 females, and they didn't look very professional. His colleague asked if he knew Leah. He said he didn't know, but he could provide clues related to the shipment. Midnight Babe learned that the supply chain was disrupted, and a large sum of money was lost. So he was furious and cursed wildly. He thought it was Cody's doing again. He ordered his sister to immediately investigate the true identities of the agents. He was determined to cut those people into pieces. At the same time, Cody reviewed the video of the group's operation. They were also very puzzled and didn't understand where this group of people suddenly came from. Some guessed it was another drug trafficking group, but they had never heard any information about them before. They could only guess that it was done by internal agents who saw an opportunity to make a profit and tried to salvage a sum. Otherwise, how could the robbers have removed Cody's tracking device? But the problem was, were they really that careful? There was no blood seen throughout the entire robbery process. There were truly no clues. Hugh thought the most urgent thing was to seal off the clues and absolutely not allow any more mistakes to happen. As soon as he finished speaking, an agent came to report, saying that through wiretapping, they had learned the location of another large drug trafficker's lair. So the agents immediately took action. However, upon arrival, they realized they had been tricked. Although this operation did not cause any casualties, it did reveal their faces. That evening, Hugh proposed setting a curfew for his son. The purpose was to protect him, but Cody immediately flared up in anger. He asked back, does he have to be limited in his activities for the rest of his life? He was already an adult. He didn't need to follow other people's arrangements in everything. After saying that, he stepped out of the house and burned the stolen car. Then, to show his defiance, he stole his father's access card. The next day, Cody's group received a phone call from Jesse. The friend said it was unbelievable. The donation amount in a short time had soared to $300,000 USD and was still growing. By then, he and his mother could completely move back in. Everyone was genuinely happy for him. They really wanted to confess that the money was stolen by them, but in the end, they managed to restrain themselves. After hanging up, Cody proposed carrying out one more big job. He didn't want to continue living under his father's control. He wanted to take the money and go somewhere his father couldn't find him, to live. Then he told the others to think about their own parents, that they were only focused on the mission. And if one day they ended up like Jesse's father and passed away, then orphans like them would only stare at each other. While talking, the short-haired girl suddenly vomited violently. Everyone panicked and rushed her to the hospital. While waiting, the short-haired girl's parents rushed over. Cody silently left the hospital room. He told his father that the short-haired girl only had a mild concussion because she had slipped and fallen down the stairs last week. She had been fine before, but unexpectedly felt unwell today. Hugh thought of the surveillance video he had watched when the robbers attacked the old man. One girl was shot in the head. Combined with the anomaly in the donation amount, he sensed there was a problem here, but he didn't say much. That evening, waiting for the adults to leave, Cody and the short-haired girl talked. The girl advised him not to only think about escaping from his family anymore, because anyone could see. The reason Hugh was strict with him was fear of losing his only relative. It was out of love, not hatred. Cody was a child who couldn't grow up, but Cody didn't listen. On the other hand, Hugh opened a video of his son's wrestling match to watch and found that he had an unconscious movement. Coincidentally, the robber also performed a similar movement. It was too much of a coincidence, but he decided to trust his son. Afterwards, Hugh went to a meeting. He told the agents that this upcoming operation was extremely important. Based on the intelligence provided by the old man, the truck that Babe used for transportation would stop to refuel at a gas station and then drive onto a deserted highway. This was the best time for them to act. Right after Hugh finished his meeting, Cody stole all the information. The next day at school, he immediately told his group of friends about it. The curly-haired girl felt it was too dangerous and didn't want to participate. Only the small black friend unconditionally trusted Cody and would follow him no matter what he did. Then the two drove to the location ahead of time, silently waiting for the truck to arrive. Late at night, the agents had set up an ambush along the road, just waiting for the truck to finish refueling and drive over. But they didn't know that. The location Cody chose to act was the gas station. Taking advantage of the truck stopping to refuel, Cody immediately cut the power switch, then led the black friend to rush out. Hugh and his colleagues felt something was wrong when the gas station lights suddenly went out and quickly sent someone to check the situation. At this time, Cody and the black friend had used electricity to knock out the driver. They initially planned to steal the truck and run, but unexpectedly the key was not in the vehicle. They could only frantically search the driver's pockets. Just then an agent shouted, and then began a fierce attack towards this direction. Facing the powerful firepower of their parents' attack, Cody and the black friend were shocked. Fortunately, many of the drug traffickers had been eliminated by their parents. The two took the opportunity to get the key and drive away. Cody felt the mask was cumbersome and took it off. Coincidentally, Hugh saw him. The old father was extremely surprised and quickly informed those who were ambushing on the highway to stop their action. In the end, Cody and the black friend successfully escaped. A few seconds later, many police cars rushed to the gas station. A colleague asked Hugh in confusion what was happening. They were so close to succeeding. Hugh didn't explain, only continuously apologized. On the other hand, Cody drove the truck to the warehouse. Opening the cargo compartment, they discovered it was full of flour, and definitely not the cash they had imagined. The curly-haired girl waiting at the warehouse shouted, "We're doomed!" This shipment was worth at least several $10 million. The drug traffickers would definitely not easily let them go. Cody tried to stay calm and told everyone not to panic. The drug traffickers definitely couldn't find them right away. The thing they needed to do first was not to let their parents find any flaws. So after returning home, Cody went to bed on time as usual, unaware that his old father was worried sick. The next day, a colleague reported the situation to Hugh. "We know after investigation, all the involved agents have an alibi when the robbery occurred, proving they are completely innocent. However, we cannot rule out the possibility that they leaked intelligence outside. The current problem is that not only Cody is looking for the robbers, but Babe's side is definitely looking too. If Babe is quicker, the robbers might not survive." Hugh grew more and more uncomfortable listening to this. That evening, he intended to talk to his son about this, but saw that he had prepared a sumptuous dinner. He then remembered Cody had said he would invite his girlfriend, Lily, and his future mother-in-law to dinner tonight. He had no choice but to entertain the guests. Halfway through the meal, Lily said she needed to use the restroom. Then she secretly looked around restlessly. When she saw the round tag from the truck in Cody's room, she revealed an expression full of hidden meaning. Afterwards, she pretended that nothing had happened, returned to the dinner table, and discreetly signaled her mother. After dinner, Lily and her mother did not stay long and left, but Hugh didn't reveal it, but arranged to go fishing with his son tomorrow to talk. But Hugh didn't know that the woman in the floral dress was Leah. She and Lily were actually biological sisters. To retrieve the goods, the two sisters brought people to the hospital, kidnapped the short-haired girl who was asleep, and then called Cody, demanding that he quickly return the truck and the goods inside it. If he dared to play tricks, the only option was to receive the corpse of the short-haired girl. Cody was immediately panicked and hurriedly used the GPS to locate the place. After he left, the drug traffickers rushed into the house with guns intending to kill Hugh. Fortunately, thanks to his quick reaction, Hugh successfully counterattacked and quickly informed the others to be vigilant. After instructing his colleagues to locate Cody's phone, everyone immediately geared up and set off. At the same time, Cody met Lily. She confessed that the reason she came to the school was to find out who the agent's child was. Cody regretted it bitterly when he heard this, blaming himself for being blinded by beauty. Fortunately, he had prepared. He shouted that there was a homemade bomb on the truck and dared anyone to come near, or he would blow up the goods and everyone. Babe didn't believe he would dare to press the button. The result was that Cody actually did press it. It's just that the slow fuse he chose had a problem. The fire burned halfway and then stopped. Seeing this, the drug traffickers rushed forward to apprehend him. In the nick of time, Hugh led his people to arrive, which was also indirectly completing the mission. A fierce gun battle broke out between the two sides. Cody took the opportunity to run and save the short-haired girl. Thanks to Hugh covering his back, he was able to escape unharmed in the rain of bullets. At this moment, the drug traffickers were at a disadvantage. Babe covered for his two younger sisters to run first. Lily was devastated by this scene, but also had to retreat first. Seeing this, Cody grabbed an empty spray can and chased after her. Leah noticed and quickly drew her gun. The tragic result was that Hugh shot her dead with a single shot. Lily understood that the overall situation was lost, abandoned the short-haired girl, and turned to flee. Hugh did not pursue her, but hit his son and tied him up. "Listen, they kidnapped you and the short-haired girl from the hospital, beat you and brought you here. Understand?" But the colleague had actually guessed the truth. However, he did not expose it. The scene cuts to Cody's four friends celebrating that Jesse had bought a new house. Everyone laughed and happily entered the house to chat, unaware that Lily was secretly lurking in the dark. Clearly, things were not over yet. The movie ends here. This time, Bautista did not play a muscular bodybuilder, but became an old father who desperately suppressed his emotions. This truly surprised the audience. Not only that, the gunfight scenes and explosions in the movie were also not skimped on. If one is not too critical about the logic, then this is a worthwhile action movie. The value of a movie lies in its reputation, and the value of a movie review lies in its feeling. Today's story ends here. Thank you all for watching. What do you think of this movie? Please comment below.